Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of today's Opening Bell. It's the 5th of May, and we're going in Prague, where we will be discussing with JANA BRODANI, the Executive Director of the Czech Capital Market Association. JANA, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for being here with us. I've met JANA a couple of weeks ago at a CFA conference in Prague. She was a moderator at a panel entitled The Current Issues in the Central Eastern European Capital Markets. How do you see this region, Jana?
I think this region is going quite well. What I can see in the Central and Eastern Europe, that the number of investors is increasing, and the financial literacy is growing slowly, but it is growing.
Let's see about the association, the Capital Markets Association in Prague. Does it cover mutual funds, pension funds, the stock market? Can you detail a bit about it?
Yeah, so we are the leading trade body whose members are mostly management companies, asset managers, traders, brokers, in short, financial institutions that are active in the field of capital markets, including banks, depositories, and so on. So this is our members, and what we do, we try to make the capital market more effective for the ultimate goal of investors' benefit.
More effective, meaning in what conditions? Like financial education going to the people.
Yes, first of all, I would say it's the transparency. We collect data and provide it to general public. Secondly, we discuss a lot regulation because now there is a huge amount of regulation. And thirdly, we try to promote investing, and especially the investing in the very rational way to general public and to investors.
How many members does it have?
We have around 80 members, out of which most of them are financial institutions, but our members are also tax advisors, legal advisors, and IT firms providing services in the capital market sector.
Let's see about the asset managers. What's the value of the assets administrated in Czech Republic?
The total value of assets is reaching, or was reaching at the end of last year, around 81 billion euros.
And the population of Czech?
And the population of who is investing? You mean the number of investors?
No, the entire population of the country, because I'm trying
10 million. 10 million. Yes, you're comparing
10
it
million.
to
Okay.
Romania. I understand. Yes, 10 million.
We're double the in Romania we have almost 20 million, but when we are to look at the assets under management, we have around 8 billion euros. So there's quite a difference. How are things going there regarding the asset management, asset managers? How are people perceiving them?
Well, I would say that our sector is pretty stable, and especially I can compare it to the crisis in 2008 and turmoils in 2020 and the recent turmoils. And what I can see that in 2008 there were a lot of investors panicking, and there was a number of redemptions during several months. We have not seen any panicking in the outburst of COVID in 2020 or recently with the negative news. I think that the best job we could have done, and we did it, is that we try to promote so-called regular investment schemes. What actually means that we try to promote, do not invest in the way that you take all your money and invest into one instrument, just start investing regularly, sending each month 100 euros, 50 euros, and start investing. And when we started this 7-8 years ago, it was just the beginning, but now most of the investors, we have in mutual funds, we have around 1.5 million of investors, and out of these 1.3 million investors invest regularly, what I think is a very good news. And this is why they perceive asset managers rather as a long-term investment and not as traders.
So nearly 15% of the country population is investing in mutual funds.
Yes.
What was the number 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you have maybe some statistics?
Yeah, so I have some statistics. I think the number, like in the past 10 years, it grew from let's say 1 million to 1.5 million. So we do not see such a huge increase in this number. But as I said, the greatest increase we see in a regular investment schemes, in real long-term investment. Therefore, this 7-8 years ago, it was practically zero. Now we have 1.3 million investors.
What should well, I'm kind of jumping to the last, what should have been my last question, but I can't help but ask you now. What should the Romanians do? Because we have like 500,000 investors in mutual fund at a population of 20 millions. How should we attract more investors? What's the SEC lesson?
Well, we did a research on what is the greatest motivation for people to invest and what demotivates them, what is the barrier for them. And the greatest motivation, it was absolutely clear. It was they started to see the investments as a way how to save for their pensions. And this is the number one in all the discussions and the number one motivation for them to invest. Of course, it's also higher inflation and savings for kids. But I think a few years ago, we introduced in Czech Republic second pillar, which was abolished in 2 years. So now everybody is aware that there will be very low pension compared to, for example, what the pensioners have now. So I think this was the strongest incentive for investment. So speaking more about the pension, about investments, not as trading or speculation, but as a like normal way of dealing with your money. I think this is very important, but I see there a huge role of financial institutions and of course journalists.
Jana, about the market, the mutual funds market in Romania, we have a couple of big asset managers integrated into larger banking groups. Erste, for instance, Raiffeisen. How are things in Czech?
In Czech Republic, it's I would say it's rather complex issue. Yes, of course, 3 biggest asset managers represent 50% of the asset management market. But at the same time, there is a huge number of boutique firms who manage funds, who provide investment solutions. So I would say that the advantage of the Czech market is that it is rather complex. It is not too big, but it is very complex. Whatever type of financial service you imagine, then it is available here in Czech Republic. So yes, banking companies or banking groups dominate the market, but there is also a huge number of smaller firms. So when investors invest in their bank solutions, then they can choose also non-bank solutions. So I think this is the way how the market operates here.
Regarding the popularity of the mutual funds, what are things in Czech Republic, equity funds or fixed income funds? Because here in Romania, by far the fixed income funds are preferred by the Romanian investors.
I would say that when I look at the situation again, 10 years ago, before the crisis, 2008, then in these times, most of the investments into funds were in money market funds. It was like 60%, huge number. And in 10 years, we have shifted a lot. So if I see the structure of the mutual fund market, then we have about 1/3, like 30% in bond funds, 25% in equity funds, 33% in balance funds, and there is also quite a high number of high investments into real estate funds. So this is the structure of the mutual fund market. I must just stress that this is also linked to the regular investment schemes, because as these are rather long-term, then more investors choose the long-term solution, which is the equity fund. But bond funds are now getting more and more popular, especially with regards to the discussions on interest rates.
I have a couple of more questions. What is your feeling right now regarding the equity markets? How do you see things?
I would say that in past years, the quantity was the most important. Now we are getting to the state where quality is getting more important. So now I think we are getting into the times when it is not important just to invest into something because it will grow anyway, but to carefully choose where I put my money. And I think this is increasing the effectiveness of the capital market.
And my last question: how do you see Romania? How does the Bucharest Stock Exchange looks to you?
I think that for a country where the capital market is not so developed, the stock exchange works quite well. But it is a question on how stock markets can work in rather small countries, whether what is their value added. And for me, it is pretty clear. It is very important that every country has a well-performing stock exchange, so that it can provide a solution for companies that seek for capital. I think very often it is not very stressed that the capital market is a complex animal, where you need all the parts of it to help it work very well. So I think the existence of stock exchange in Bucharest is very important.
We have this huge IPO coming next month, the listing of the biggest electricity producer in Romania. It's called Hydroelectrica. Have you heard about the IPO? What's your first reaction, your first thoughts?
Well, this is just the effect of current discussions in the energy sector, and I think that it's important that these companies are present on the capital market. This is also that there is a huge discussion on the Czech market, whether the biggest energy company will remain on the stock exchange. And I think it is important to stress what are the benefits of a functional capital market for the whole economy. You know, from the perspective of transparency, information provisions, the participation rate of investors. So I think this is very important.
Thank you very much, Jana, for being here with us from Prague. Now, with your permission, I will switch into Romanian for the closing remarks. Mulțumesc frumos că ne-ați urmărit. Până data viitoare, fir întins la investiții câștigătoare. Numai bine!
Știu ce spun.
Un ultimatum pentru Zelenski. Occidentul îl ajută până în toamnă, după care trebuie să negocieze pacea. De ce nu discutăm mâine? Toți soldații ca carne de tun până în toamnă ca să mai jucăm o fisă?
Știu ce te interesează.
Bogații lumii poluează pentru că își permit să plătească răul pe care îl fac, o spune Bill Gates.
Este un handicapat.
Cred cu siguranță.
Știu cum să te fac curios.
Război în masă. Veganii și vegetarianii și-au făcut aplicația lor de dating. Până la urmă, e mult mai comod o astfel de relație.
Știu cum să te emoționezi.
Întâlnirile cu prietenii și familia sunt motivul pentru care zâmbim în fiecare zi.
Dar nu trebuie să-ți legi fericirea de exterior.
Știu să convin.
Vă dau jucării noi, le promite Putin soldaților de pe front, arme nucleare.
Cât de nebun să fii să te gândești că te-ar ataca NATO, dar intra în Sankt Petersburg să facă ce cu el?
Gândește că și alții sunt nebuni ca el.
Știu să câștig.
De ce te super, Nemo? Am aliați mai buni.
Hai, Nemo.
Știu, deci știi.